The Yom Kippur War, also known as the October War, was a pivotal conflict fought between Israel and a coalition of Arab states led by Egypt and Syria. Occurring from October 6 to October 25, 1973, it was one of the most intense and significant wars in the history of the Arab-Israeli conflict. The war's most crucial battlefront was the Golan Heights, a strategically important area that Israel had captured from Syria during the Six-Day War of 1967. The strategic importance of the Golan Heights. The Golan Heights is a plateau situated in the north of Israel, overlooking Syria, Lebanon, and Jordan. Its elevated terrain provided a critical vantage point for military operations, with a clear line of sight to much of southern Syria and northern Israel. Before Israel's capture of the Golan Heights in 1967, Syria had used the area to launch artillery attacks on Israeli settlements below. As a result, the Golan Heights was regarded as vital for Israel's security, making it one of the primary objectives of Syria in the Yom Kippur War. The Syrian Offensive. On October 6, 1973, Syrian forces launched a surprise offensive against Israeli positions on the Golan Heights. This attack came on the holiest day of the Jewish calendar, Yom Kippur, when many Israeli soldiers were on leave, creating a vulnerable situation for Israel. The Syrian assault was initially successful, with Syrian troops pushing through Israel's defenses and advancing rapidly into the Golan Heights. The Syrian forces employed a combination of artillery bombardment, tank assaults, and infantry advances. They made significant territorial gains in the early hours of the attack, catching the Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, off guard and leading to a sense of panic within Israel's leadership. The Syrians were able to capture key positions on the Golan Heights, coming close to the Israeli defense line. Israeli counterattack. Despite the initial setbacks, Israel quickly mobilized its reserves and launched a counterattack. The IDF, under the leadership of General David Elazar, began a series of counteroffensive operations. The fighting on the Golan Heights was intense and marked by brutal tank battles, airstrikes, and artillery duels. The Israeli forces were initially outnumbered, but managed to regroup and deploy superior tactics, eventually regaining lost ground. The Golan Heights front became a focal point of the war, as the IDF sought to halt the Syrian advance and prevent further territorial losses. Israel's use of air superiority, along with reinforcements and strategic counterattacks, turned the tide in favor of the Israeli forces. By October 12, Israeli troops had successfully halted the Syrian advance and began pushing back, recapturing significant portions of the Golan Heights. The aftermath and significance. The Golan Heights front of the Yom Kippur War ended with a ceasefire brokered by the United Nations on October 25, 1973. Israel had managed to repel the Syrian forces, maintaining control of the Golan Heights, but the cost of the war was high. Both sides suffered heavy casualties, with Israel losing over 2,000 soldiers, while Syria's casualties were estimated to be in the tens of thousands. The war had profound implications for both Israel and Syria. While Israel's military reputation had been severely shaken by the surprise attack, the war also demonstrated Israel's resilience and ability to recover from setbacks. For Syria, the war ended in military failure, but it helped to highlight the Arab world's desire to regain territories lost to Israel in previous conflicts, particularly the Golan Heights. The Yom Kippur War also had significant political consequences, leading to shifts in the Middle Eastern diplomatic landscape. The war paved the way for the eventual Camp David Accords in 1978, which saw Egypt and Israel sign a peace treaty, marking the first Arab-Israeli peace agreement. Conclusion. The Golan Heights front during the Yom Kippur War remains one of the most intense and critical battlefields in the history of the Arab-Israeli conflict. The Syrian offensive tested Israel's defenses and military strategy, but Israel's counterattacks and eventual victory ensured the retention of the Golan Heights. This dramatic and costly war demonstrated the volatility of the region and the complex nature of the Arab-Israeli conflict, influencing the future of Middle Eastern geopolitics.